everybody. Welcome back to the Live from the Hammock Purple Friday show, episode 243. After a little hiatus, we're here ready for the season. We got our if everybody's got their commitments ready for fantasy football. Pretty sure we got like 3 or 4 drafts coming up. I know I got like 3 coming up just next week. Doing my I got one league I'm running, I know for sure. So just looking forward to it, and nervous about who I'm gonna be picking with my first pick and everything else. So and the parlays, Travis, I know you got that ready to go. I know you've been
Man,
looking at the futures.
we up and running. I'm trying to make me like 10 grand this season.
There you go. See that you gotta keep going moving forward, right? I'm trying to make 100.
Always.
hundred
Oh,
dollars.
hey, I'm trying to be like
hundred
you.
dollars.
Oh,
$100.
okay.
I wasn't hitting on them parlays last year like I should have. So I'm like, I gotta do the. I think like you were saying, like doing more of the, not necessarily the yardage and stuff, but like doing more of the small bets and just kind of
Yeah,
stacking wins week to week instead of everybody's looking for that 10 grand, 20 grand payout on one parlay. But just stack the wins each week and just watch that money bag grow. So but yeah, it's been for the most part for the Ravens, I think a pretty, what would I say, uh, quiet preseason. Hasn't anything crazy. There was a fight. We saw Nate Wiggins get into it with was it a Colts player? I think
yeah. I can't remember who, but
you
yeah,
can't
he
remember who it was.
definitely
Yeah, he
pressed the Colts
apparently got
player.
uppercut. Apparently, he went in there to defend a teammate. He was fighting another player. Nate got involved and then Marlon being Marlon, had to try to investigate after
Instigating.
the after the fact. That's it's going to be real interesting to see how this, especially the secondary room, looks. Now, I did notice a lot of the beat writers for the Ravens did notice that the defense is definitely going to be setting the tone for this team this year. What we've seen in the past years, it's been the offense, it's been Derrick Henry the addition last year, Lamar, and the emergence of Rashad Bateman, especially later in the season, and of course Zay and Mark Andrews, and they've kind of been leading the charge. But it appears, at least vibe wise, it just how the guys are in the locker room and stuff, it feels like this defense is going to kind of lead lead things, this
Yeah,
season, which is fine, which I think is, we constantly we look at the Eagles and how they won the Super Bowl, and there's been all this talk, especially the last couple of weeks. They've been rehashing the Super Bowl and how important is Jalen Hurts to this team, to the Eagles, and while he's what I think the big part about him is he is a big part of the team, but he's not like the team. It's not everything has
yeah,
to revolve around him. He is a cog in how the team operates. We saw how the defense played last year. You got big contributions for their rookies. What the Ravens are looking forward this year with Mike Green, especially on
yeah.
defense, and Malachi Starks on defense. You saw what Cooper DeJean did in the Super Bowl for the Eagles. But with Jalen Hurts being a cog, a very important cog in the machine, but not having to be the all end all be all. And what we've seen, I think, in the playoffs the past 5 years is that it's all on Lamar in the playoffs. And it feels like everybody just kind of takes a step back, even on defense, and it just feels
Yeah.
like it's all on him. So if what they're saying is true, and the defense is kind of like stepping into this mold where we're going to kind of set the tone, we're not going to hold back. We're not going to, Lamar's going to be Lamar, but we're not going to necessarily be in the shadows. And we're going to make plays. We're going to make things happen with this team this year.
Look, that's what we need. Like we don't need the 2012 Ravens. We don't need even the 2000 Ravens. We need a ferocious defense that's making plays, and that's what's been missing. I've been seeing a lot of hype around the defense. I've seen Mike Green look like an absolute stud. Shout out to Coach Sack out there getting them right. Always looking pretty solid. Ajabo looked solid early, and then I don't know what's been happening lately.
Mhm.
And then Van Noy is going to be Van Noy. So I feel like the pass rush is looking good. I like the intensity when we went to training camp. There's a lot of intensity from the secondary. with Jair out there, with Marlon out there, Wiggins, was it Owazi?
Mhm.
Um, I just feel like there's just a lot of energy, and we're starting to see some dogs start to come to the forefront, which this team hasn't had. I think Miles, you've been critical vocally of this team not having those dogs that set the tone, that are ferocious, getting after it. I mean, we've had maybe like Marcus Peters be one of those guys, but outside of that, we just haven't seen that from this defense. And I think this is a year where I feel confident saying we got some dogs on that side, some playmakers on that side. So now it's just time for us to like get out there and put it all together. And for us to get where we want to go, it has to be the defense that leads us. Like the quarterback can do a bunch, but what we see time and time again, even when quarterbacks have great seasons in the Super Bowl, the quarterback plays good, but the defense makes plays. And
Mhm.
that's usually the difference.
Yeah, and I from even just from the one the game I think I saw with Mike Green playing the Colts, and even him, some of the videos they showed of him in the scrimmage that they had, he looks the part for sure. They said,
Yeah.
he was working with Michael McCrary this past week, working on, because Michael McCrary was a bigger guy and working
Yeah.
more of his power moves, with him. And they said it just they showed, when I think I was watching some of the clips on X or whatever, and they were breaking down Mike Green's different snaps, and he was literally trying different things almost every single snap just to see what worked, what didn't work, and things like that. So you can
Yeah.
definitely tell whether he already had that skill set or he's adding to it. Like he's definitely he's got it, And he
Yeah.
said even though he looks like he's undersized, he can rush for power, he can rush for speed, he can bend the corner, he can do all that. And even I think there was that one sack play where he didn't get the sack, but he put a hand on the quarterback, forced him inside, and I think Ajabo or Owe even got the sack in that game on
Yeah.
the play. So it's definitely there. Malachi Starks, I saw this past week, I think when they played, who did they play this past week?
Cowboys.
Cowboys. There was a play over the middle where the wide receiver was wide open, and he drops the ball because Malachi Starks he was about to it was about to be over. It was about to be a wrap. And I
And
think he heard footsteps and he
I
dropped
know what
the
time it is.
wide open pass. It was a wide open pass, and Malachi Starks was right there, and he's about to lay him out. He's about to lay.
Yeah.
He's about to be on the field, gasping for air. Like it was really bad. So, look, if I think that's going to be, I know a lot of people don't like to rely on rookies to kind of be those difference makers. But again, at the end of the day, I mean that's part of the game. Like you're going to have rookies on the team, and everybody has to contribute. I mean, you look at the Chiefs even a few years ago with was it McDuffie and I think I
Yep.
can't remember the other cornerback they had. They were both rookies, and they
Yeah.
made huge plays in the playoffs. Everybody at that point, what they say, I think Ray even said it. He's like, after like week 10, week 11, you're not a rookie anymore.
Yeah.
You're not a rookie anymore
You're
if
a
you
part of
play
this team.
10 to 11 weeks. You're a pro now at this point. Like, that rookie wall, you've already passed it. With the amount of plays you're playing, week to week, you don't have these huge breaks in between, playoffs and stuff. Like you're in the trenches now in these games. These rivalry games are going to play, especially this. I feel like after these first 2 games of the season, the Ravens are going to be, the first 3 games in general. Like those rookies are going to be like, all right, battle tested, ready to go. How important this stuff is. But just for the season outlook, I think what the goal has been for the last 5 years, and with the way this team is built, it's I think for right now, definitely this year Super Bowl or bust. This year,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of moving parts happening at the end of the season. Lamar's, I'm assuming there'll be a contract to be worked out maybe before the season is over. You still have Kyle Hamilton, Isaiah Likely. What do you do with Mark Andrews after this year? Some Roquan Smith. There's a lot of moving parts. What this team's going to look like going forward, because it does feel like, is this going to be like are the Ravens the new Bills? I'm not saying they've made it to the Super Bowl 4 straight years in a row, but at least the last 3 years, I think the Ravens, in my honest opinion, have been late in the season the best team in football. They have
Yeah.
been arguably the best team in football, and they haven't gotten there yet. And with Lamar going into this year, I mean, I think they were looking, I think they did the rushing statistics um, for like all time rushers, and he's already surpassed several people already at this point, and where he's going to be at the end of this season. Um, I think he knows it's Super Bowl or bust. I also think Harbaugh knows it's for him. It's Super Bowl or bust. There's no longer, I think, can Harbaugh and the rest of the media continue to give him a pass because of what happened in 2012. That's over 12 years ago. Like, no, you can't give him a pass anymore for what happened in 2012. What have you done since? And you've had the two-time MVP there. You've had this great defense. This year they brought in Chuck Pagano. I think Dean Pease is still there. You have 3 defensive coordinators on that staff. Chuck Pagano's the defensive coordinator here, Dean Pease, and Zach Orr. You have 3 defensive coordinators on that staff. I just feel like there's no excuse this year. You went out, you got your edge rusher and Mike Green. Maybe you get something out of Oweh this year as well.
Yeah.
They said Roquan looks a lot better this year than he did last year. You go out and get Jair Alexander. You got Malachi Starks. You allow to put Kyle Hamilton back at his natural spot. Same thing with Marlon Humphrey. Yeah, I'm like this. It's if anything, this is anything other than a Super Bowl appearance this year is a failure to me.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think it's been a Super Bowl bust for a couple of years, and I think just to speak to something a little bit different, I feel like this roster is not going to be this roster next year. There's no possible way. There are a lot of budget deals, one year deals, budget deals, where if we don't win a Super Bowl this year, the roster is going to look different. Because guys usually they either want to get paid after a Super Bowl or they want to try to come back and run it back. But when you think about the Lamar extension, the Hamilton extension, the Linderbaum extension, likely Oweh, Travis Jones, I could keep going. So there's just so much out there on the line contract wise. You got Jair Alexander. We're going to be looking at him because I think he's basically a 1 year with the option or something weird where we can get out the deal after the first year. There's just a lot out there that could lend to us being a whole different roster next year. So we have to win now. We can't have Harbaugh here making them same mistakes, stupid challenges. We can't have the playoff games where we're not giving Derrick Henry the ball or we're turning the ball over, making stupid decisions. Like, this is the year where we have to put it all together. We got a bunch of guys who are in their prime or entering their prime, or even on the tail end of their career. We have guys that have to step up, have to make the plays, and we have to be the team that we've had the potential to be for the past 3 to 4 years. Like, this has to be the year we put it all together. We can't we can't fall short again, especially not the way we've been doing it. So this is gonna have to be the year. Like, this may be the end of the window for the Ravens as we know it. Not period, but just at this iteration of the team. So we got to make it happen.
Yeah, considering, like you said, Zay is going to become, a contract issue at some point. Do you pay Bateman? There's a lot of money. There's only about so much money going around, and you have to look at trading guys away just because you need to get draft picks and just because you can't pay everyone. It would be a shame especially with you see with likely with Zay and Mark and Lamar, just how great they get along, and Derrick Henry, like they all seem to actually do like each other as a team. Like they all do seem to like each other, and hang out and stuff. So also been impressed with Tyler Loop. Tyler Loop he nailed the job. I think after this past week, he made like 5 field goals. And the Loop, there it is. Yeah, we saw that with the signs with his family, in Dallas. So I'm like, that's gonna be the thing. Loop, there it is. So I'm like, they found their guy, and I don't know. It's. I'm not gonna get. I definitely don't feel like the last few seasons. I'm like, yeah, this is it. This is it. We're gonna get there. But this year it's more like I'm cautiously optimistic. It's like because we've seen what happened the last few years. It's one of those things I think for as a fan, we have to show us. They got to show us. Is we too many times the Ravens, and it's not like the Ravens don't have the talent. It's the Ravens literally making those mistakes, the silly mistakes in the playoffs. That Mark Andrews dropping the ball in a 2-point conversion, and in the middle of the field, putting the ball on the ground. The same thing with Lamar trying to run, get out of a sack, and he pissed the ball on the ground, and Von Miller returns it for a touchdown, and just this silly stuff the Ravens do just to burn themselves. And but at the same time, it does feel like maybe Lamar still has it in his head that it has to be him. It has to be him. It has to be him to prove this. And if I were John Harbaugh, as even Todd Monken, I really look at how the Eagles operated with Jalen Hurts. All season, no one ever considered Jalen Hurts to be an MVP candidate. They kept saying that he had issues with AJ Brown, and he wasn't. Saquon Barkley was more important to this team than Jalen Hurts was, but you never saw get him out of his character. If anything, he played some of his best football during that Super Bowl. He played some of his best football. He made the plays when they needed to make them on offense, and I like that kind of mindset they had this year, where it's like we had the ring ceremony, and they did the press conference, and he just like, we noticed you didn't have your Super Bowl ring on. He's like, that's last year, man. I'm not wearing that. I'm not wearing that right now. That's it. That's in the trophy case at home. Like we focused on next season. But look, we'll look at is it the first two games the Ravens have, or what, the Bills and the Chiefs are the first two games, or is that week 1 and week 3?
Bills. I think it's Bills, Browns,
Bills, Browns, Chiefs. Yeah. Okay. So look, I don't wish this on anybody to have this kind of stress in the first 3 weeks, but the Ravens' home field advantage literally can be determined by week 4. Yeah. The Ravens know you have to beat the Bills. You have to beat the Chiefs. If you want that home AFC Championship game in Baltimore to have an advantage, you got to win both of those games. Because we know the Chiefs are going to probably most likely be there. They're going to be in the playoff mix, and the Bills are going to be there. They're the other top two dogs in the AFC. You beat them by week 4. I'm not saying you're cruising, but at least hey, we got those tiebreakers locked up now. You got those tiebreakers. If it comes down to that point in the end of the season, we got those tiebreakers locked up. So it's early on in the season. And look, to be honest, I think I like that early on for the Ravens. I like that early on. They got to prove very early on, like, hey, we got to you locked in, man. We don't have any, cupcakes, this year for the most part. Like we got still some primetime games we got to get through. We got the Chiefs and the Bills in the first 3 weeks of the season. You got to handle it, man. You got to handle it.
Yeah. We got to come out the gate swinging. I mean, we have 2 out of our first 3 weeks against Super Bowl contenders. Both of those games are on the road, so we have to come to play ball. We can't come out sluggish. I feel like, the past 3 years, in the first game of the season, we've come out sluggish in both games. I mean, when you look at the Chiefs game last year, I think we came out the gate looking super sluggish, not doing what we needed to do. And then we had like a fever of a fourth quarter, bringing our team all the way back only to lose by a toe. So that's rough. And that's one of the things I'm talking about when I say this is Super Bowl or bust. We have to be a different team. We can't just come out with no plan of action and then have Lamar heat up in the second half or in the fourth quarter. We have to come out the gate swinging, being true to ourselves, and truly impose our will on these other teams. Like, I mean, if I was to notice something different from like the Bills and the Chiefs when compared to us, is that they impose their will on the other team from the gate, and I think we have to start doing that. We have to set the tone early instead of being a reactionary team. So that's what I'm looking for in these first 3 weeks. I'm looking for some aggression. I'm looking for some domination, and just being super physical with these teams, because the AFC can be had. I mean, in the first 3 weeks, we're playing the 2 teams that are a threat to us. I'm not worried about anybody else in the AFC. I'm worried about these 2 teams. So that's what we got to do.
Yeah. So From what we've seen, I guess season outlook as well. Who do you think is going to be the breakout player? Obviously we know Lamar's going to be Lamar's going to do his thing. I think Isaiah likely had his breakout. That was like 2 years ago. Bateman was last year. Is there anybody that's new, or there's somebody like even from that hasn't played in a little while that maybe you think kind of breaks out this year, adds that extra oomph that this team needs, whether it be on offense or defense?
That's tough. I mean, I feel like the obvious answer would be like a Rashad Bateman. But I think maybe my answer is somebody I want to break out because I think they could be more impactful than anybody can think. So it's not Nate Wiggins, because we see what he can do, and we want him to build on that. But I want to see Travis Jones break out this year, and I think he totally can. I think there's a physicality with him and the ability to stop the run and totally collapse the pocket, um, that we've seen flashes of, similar to Namdi. I think he reminds me in some instances in flashes the type of time that Namdi has, and I think him on that defensive line, you really could use him just disrupting that pocket and really applying pressure that we don't normally see. So I think Travis Jones can definitely break out this year. And what that would do is open up those edges for Van Noy, for Owe, for Mike Green, because they're going to have to. Teams, if Travis Jones breaks out, teams are going to have Namdi and Travis Jones to deal with up the middle, and that opens up the outside for our edge rushers because they're going to have to double team and figure out how to handle and stunt and just do a variety of things with our big guys. So I mean, that's what I'm looking to break out.
I think who I'm looking at to break out this year, if he stays healthy, it's Keaton Mitchell. Adding that extra juice to that running game. There are a lot of people that said if Keaton Mitchell was in the playoff, even against the Chiefs AFC Championship game, if he was in the game, we would have won it. A lot of guys have said that. Like if Keaton Mitchell was in with the Ravens in the playoffs, they would have won those games. He just adds that extra, like literally there was that lightning and thunder what they used to have with what was it, LaRon McClain and was it Ray Rice and Will McClain?
Ray Rice, LaRon McClain, Willis McGahee,
yeah. So, but Derrick Henry, like plus because Keaton Mitchell, because he can catch the ball in the backfield, that's not a skill of Derrick Henry. Just adding another element to the passing game for Lamar. That's one thing I think he was more reliant definitely on his receivers this past year and the season before because he didn't really have anybody outside of Justice Hill, that would be on the field. Now, when you have a situation, I think with the Ravens where you could have some more split back stuff, this year with a Derrick Henry and a Keaton Mitchell in the backfield, you imagine running like a triple option kind of play with Lamar, Keaton, and then Derrick. Like the defense doesn't know what to do. If he can stay healthy, that's going to be key. Obviously, that's been his issue since he's been here. I think that's going to be huge for the Ravens offense. Again, it's just more of everybody else stepping up, making plays. I think when Zay got hurt, and it wasn't able to play in that Bills game, I think he would have made a huge impact in that Bills game as well.
Absolutely.
Because look, regardless of the Chiefs game where he gets the penalty for the 15 yards for was it taunting or whatever, and then the fumble in the end zone, I'm not mad at any of those plays. It's like during the regular season, they're not even calling the flag on that taunting play or whatever. The players do that all the time. And then the play for the end zone, I'm like, look, he was trying to make a play. He was trying to make a play for the end zone. He saw it. The cornerback made a better play by punching the ball out. Zay at least tried. Zay was making efforts, I think, in that game to make a play. And if anything, I'll say the key player to show up is just health for the Ravens. Can their playmakers just be ready for that game? That's all I ask. Can their playmakers just be available for that game? Because the last couple of years now, Zay's been out, Keaton Mitchell's been out when they've made huge strides, and it's like we know in that Bills game, Zay Flowers would have made a huge impact in that game.
Absolutely,
huge impact in that game. and not having Zay on the field and relying on, Bateman was still doing his thing. Don't get me wrong, but then you have to rely on a Tylen Wallace, you know, at that point, like,
Algorithm.
the receive. I'll say another thing. The receiving group this year is probably the best I've seen it.
Yeah, period on the Ravens history.
I did see in that Cowboys game, Tez Walker had like 5 or 6 catches. He was getting a lot of targets in that game. Kirkwood, I don't know if he's going to make the team, but
probably not.
He was doing his bit. For the 2 games, preseason games, he's looked real good out there as well. But DeAndre, it's a loaded wide receiver room. It's going to be really, really tough to make the team with this receiver, which is something we've never been able to say for a while.
Never.
That this Ravens receiver room is actually going to be tough to make because of how good the players are already. So, but I would like to see Monken definitely get Tez Walker more involved. I did like seeing him. We've only seen him a couple times and mostly on deep routes. But in that Cowboys game, he ran a lot of like stop stuff. He ran a lot of stuff to the corner, a lot of stuff to the sideline. So it showed more range in his route tree. Because I can do more than just go 50 yards down the field. I can make those plays in the middle of the field and in the sideline. So that did look good.
Look, we are far removed from the days of Kamar Aiken.
Man, man,
far removed.
Now, the one concern I think we talked about before the show started, the backup quarterback situation. It's Drew Leary. I don't know why they wasted a draft pick on Drew Leary to begin with. I don't know why they even wasted a draft pick on him. He's bad. He's not.
He's good. A crash out.
And then Cooper Rush, while he did have those few good games with the Cowboys, he's looked terrible here. It just didn't make sense with the offense the Ravens run. I'm like, when you put those quarterbacks in, you can't run the offense anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I never understood why Leary and Cooper Rush. I never understood it.
Yeah, these are traditional pocket quarterbacks in an offense that's built for a dual threat, and a guy that's going to make plays and hit guys open in space. You're giving it to 2 guys. One guy's who's a dink and dunk and can't really make the deep throw, and then the other guy who just I don't know what Leary is good at. I don't know why they drafted him. He was turnover prone in college, so why did they think that was going to change in the league? And that was against lower level teams. He was turnover prone. So I don't know. I don't know what we were doing with either one of these. There are plenty of other guys. Like if we were drafting guys that we could have drafted last year to be able to come in and be that backup. There was plenty of guys out there, especially in the mid rounds. And there were guys out there. I would have taken like a Gardner Minshew. Man, who else was out there? That's a dual threat. It's escaping me right now, but there are guys out there. I mean, I would have taken Josh Johnson back as the number 2 quarterback.
And he still might. He still might.
Over Cooper Rush.
He still might.
It's crazy right now. I mean,
I got Malik Cunningham on the roster. He's playing wide receiver right now, but he was a quarterback.
Look, it's looking bad. And I think, with the whole situation yesterday with Lamar getting stepped on, instantly my thought is we're 0-16 if Lamar goes down. With Cooper Rush and Drew Leary, Devin Leary, whatever his name is, back there. So yeah, it needs to be addressed. There needs to be a trade. I'm not lying to you, Miles. We need to look. Eric DeCosta needs to swallow his pride and trade one of those draft picks for a backup quarterback. We need one. Send a 6th or 7th round for one of these guys that's going to be a number 2. Like Anthony Richardson's out there. He's probably a better fit for the offense.
Yeah.
So, and he's probably going to be better than a Cooper Rush or Devin Leary.
Yeah. I hope that scare yesterday kind of gave all of them on the coaching staff and then like Eric and Steve Bisciotti a little bit of like foreshadowing. A little bit like what it would look like without Lamar. Like, oh yeah, this don't look good. Like we can't. If and just for history's sakes, right? I mean, Lamar did get hurt. It was that in 2020 and 2021. So I'm like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that something happens. You need to have it for a few games where you need Lamar has to rest up, and you need somebody to kind of man the helm, for 3 or 4 games. Not out of the realm of possibility. And the guys they got right now it's not working. And they were saying, I remember, I think Rod Woodson was saying on the show when he does the preseason shows, he was like, it's kind of bad, it's kind of sad, to way Drew Leary and Cooper Rush are playing, because you kind of want to see how the receivers look. You want to see how the receivers and tight ends look, and they're not throwing great passes, so you can't really. It sounds like you can't really see how really assess how they're playing. You can't really assess it because it's like, Leary and Cooper Rush are terrible. So it's like, it's not really a good barometer right here. How these guys actually look. So no, I think that when they start making their cut downs by the end of this weekend, the Ravens there'll be somebody available. The Browns got 5 of them. So I'm like, the Browns got at least 5. So I'm like, come on, there's got to be somebody available the Ravens can go grab.
A name to watch is Jameis Winston. Jackson Dart is starting to make some waves. I mean, he's looked really good. And
they did. I heard the Giants said they won't cut him. They already said they're not trying to cut him.
Oh, Jameis? Well, they probably do want him for leadership, but I can't foresee them keeping all 3 quarterbacks with Jackson Dart playing like that.
No, right. You got Russell Wilson there already.
Yeah.
And
you got Russ, you got Jameis, you got Tommy DeVito, you got Jackson Dart. So I only see them staying 2 and maybe have an emergency on the practice squad. And I don't see Jameis going on the practice squad. So I think he can be traded for.
No, I didn't even think about that. I think that honestly, just the way this locker room is, Jameis Winston would be a great fit for the Ravens. I think he'd be a great fit for the
Jameis, Marlowe, and Jair.
Man, that needs to be a show. That needs to be a TV show. I'd watch. That's a TV show right there. That's hilarity right there.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh my goodness.
No, but I think you're right. I think that they can't rest. You've seen enough from Cooper and Drew, and I don't want to hear about being a hardball guy or something like that. No, that's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut it. People have said it. I've heard all the Ravens insiders say that. Yeah, they got a backup quarterback problem. And we haven't said that in years. Even when Snoop was here, the Ravens are like, he doesn't throw the best football and stuff like that, but he can. We saw in the playoff game against the Bengals. Like, they almost won that game.
Yeah.
So I'm like, he wasn't terrible. It's what his job is as a backup. But Cooper Rush and Drew Leary just, again, those Drew Leary especially feels like a hardball pick to me. He liked Drew and wanted him in the room, and I was just like, this guy doesn't fit this locker room at all.
He doesn't belong.
No, but you're right. Jameis Winston, barring any injury, any starters elsewhere, would be a good fit in Baltimore. And look, he played in the AFC North last year, so he's familiar, with the teams and stuff. So if something were to happen to Lamar later in the season, the Ravens are playing the Bengals or Steelers or Browns, I think he could hold his own for sure. Around the rest of the NFL. The biggest one we saw, obviously, with the Indianapolis Colts, Daniel Jones gets the starting job over Anthony Richardson. While it's not shocking, because we have said, I think, was it last year, he took himself out of the game.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. There was definitely no trust there. Then with the passing of, obviously, Jim Irsay, the untimely passing of Jim Irsay, and now new ownership there. It feels like they're done with him. Now, at the same time, I don't really know if they gave him. Not every quarterback is ready to play right away. I think the problem with the NFL is, well, a lot of other position players can come in and play right away. Quarterback is a different animal. It's a different animal. And especially for Anthony Richardson, coming off the heels of Andrew Luck. Trying to replace Andrew Luck. That was not an easy shoes to fill with him. And I think there's just a lot of pressure on him, especially with the injuries and stuff that he had in his first year. And look, I watched him in Florida. He wasn't that good. I think he got overdrafted, to be honest with you. He got overdrafted. And these teams get desperate and they just draft guys because they saw the physical attributes. They saw he's like, oh, he's 6'4", 6'5", 240 pounds, looks like Cam Newton. They don't play like
Yeah.
Cam Newton. Plays more like Jamarcus Russell. That's what he played like. And they were leaning on that. Now, look, I think if he just had maybe a few years to sit on the sideline and learn a little bit, he would have been okay. But again, I think he's just another one of those casualties that we've seen with these teams that are so desperate to find starting quarterbacks that they draft guys, they overdraft quarterbacks in the NFL draft. They start them in that spot, knowing they're not ready for the spotlight at that point. And I don't know, expecting them to be something they weren't in college. I've very rarely seen guys that were bad in college then become great in the NFL.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we've seen good guys be bad in the NFL, but more than not, if you're good in college, you'll tend to be pretty good in the NFL. You know, but I haven't seen a bad college player trying to be a good one. You know, in the NFL, and he wasn't that great at Florida. His completion percentage was always around 50% or under. Like he was known for making bonehead plays. Like, yeah, like he literally got there because of how big. Like he was athletic. You know, he could move around and scramble and things like that. He wasn't a good thrower to football. Couldn't make his reads. They commented on that in the Ravens Colts game where he got lit up, where he got hit. They said he missed Shannon Sharp and I think Chad Ochocinco on their show commented on the fact that he missed his read. He missed his read. It was supposed to be a hot read, like immediately get the ball out. And they showed, I think they highlighted it was a running back or somebody in the flat, and he was supposed to throw it to him, and he just sat there. He sat there and waited, and then because there was a free runner, was it a Jabo? A Jabo didn't have anybody blocking him, just ran right at him and took him off his feet, and then ended up breaking his pinky or whatever like that. And they mentioned there's no way you are in year 3 missing that read. Like year 3, that should be like automatic. That should be. So it's like that was an issue. Seeing that right there, then and there, here you are in year 3, and you're not making even the most basic of reads there.
Yeah. Look, I'm a little more bullish on Anthony Richardson. I just think my man is young. He had what 12 total games in college that he started. I mean, what you gonna get from
that's
that?
Not a lot of games. Yeah, that's not a lot.
Right. and to go into the NFL. Now, granted, he started strong his rookie season before he got hurt. But he needs reps. Like you gotta give that man 2 years of just figuring it out. I mean, I think we've become so instant gratification in this NFL that we don't develop people. I think just like, people say that about the music industry, like NFL, we do not develop quarterbacks. We want you to come right in and have a CJ Stroud rookie year or Jaden Daniels rookie year. Otherwise, we're trying to get rid of you and move on to the next quarterback in year 2. And then we see you go on to have a Sam Darnold year with the Vikings and take them into the playoffs, or be a Jared Goff with the Lions, or even a Geno Smith with the Seahawks. Like, you got to develop these guys. And I think they're giving up. He's still probably, I think he's like the youngest quarterback in the league still.
Yeah. I saw the list. There was like several other quarterbacks that are younger than him, and he's been in the league for 3 years. Yeah, I think there are rookies coming into the NFL now that are older than him.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think he just turned 23 or maybe still be 22. Like, he's young. He needs reps. He needs experience. He needed a mentor. That's what they should have given him. Somebody to guide him through that first year, because he just needs to grow. And I think you give him 2 years with a good organization, he can develop into your next Geno Smith, Sam Darnold, whoever. I think they just gave up on him too soon, and it's going to come back to bite them. I think this is going to be the moment where his villain story, the villain origin story, he's going to go to another team and develop and come back to bite Indy.
Yeah, so, look, if I'm either like the Browns, the Saints, shoot, I mean, even the Vikings, if I'm what's the head coach's name? O'Donnell. If I'm him, I'm like, that man's been a quarterback whisperer. I'm like, even with JJ McCarthy, look, he came off an injury last year as well. You're gonna need somebody to back him up. What else? If I'm him, I'm like, look, you got a potential, if you were to develop Anthony Richardson where the Colts could not, Kevin O'Connell could write his future for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
Like if he's a quarterback whisperer, he can write his future for the next 30 years. So that's that. Flacco is day one starter at what, 42 years old or about to be 42 years old. With the Browns, over Dylan Gabriel, over Shador Sanders. Deshaun Watson said he's on his way back. Deshaun Watson is like, I'm almost ready, almost ready to go.
He's not starting for that team.
No, he's done, man. I mean, the Browns ownership already made that statement earlier in the offseason about them kind of regretting the deal now. Like it's
if your ownership is saying that, understand
it's
you are on borrowed time.
It's a wrap. It's done. It's done.
Yeah.
Since we were touching on like just division winners and things like that with the Browns, what's the outlook? What's the outlook for the Browns? What is it this year? What's the outlook for the Browns this year? What's the outlook? They got Isaiah Bond, who cleared apparently was it assault charges or something like that, domestic violence charges.
Yeah, sexual assault.
The running back, is it Judkins?
Yeah, I think he has domestic or something else.
He has some stuff on him too. They got cleared. They're real. Browns are real good at collecting these guys, man. Like they're real good at. So they got there with those players. You got Myles Garrett obviously on defense. Their defense is still pretty solid. It's still pretty solid. Offensively, though, with Joe Flacco starting the season as the week 1 starter, like what does that look like?
I think they're going to competitively lose games. I think they're going to be in a lot of games and lose them. I love Flacco, and I think it's crazy how the Joe Flacco brand has changed over the years. He went from a game manager to a gunslinger over the course of his career. Like he was looking like Trent Dilfer early on, and then suddenly he's looking like Brett Favre in Minnesota. So like it's crazy to see the trajectory of his career. But yeah, Flacco's going to put up numbers. He's going to put up touchdowns, but he's going to throw interceptions. He's going to have some dumb plays because he really doesn't care. Flacco is the most non-caring, talented quarterback I've ever seen. He's just like, F it. Let me throw it down there. See who gets it. So, I think they'll be competitive, but they're going to lose games. So there's not much there. We don't know what they have in the running game because Judkins, he might not be on that field. They have some talented wide receivers. O-line is a little shaky, but the defense looks good. So honestly, I could see them being like a 5-12 to 7-11 team or 7-10 team, somewhere within that range. I don't think they'll be. I think they'll be competitive, but I just don't think they'll win a lot of games.
One of the I'll touch on this too. We look at, I don't know if you heard about the Chargers right now. So was it Slater is out for the year. Their star left tackle gone for the year. Gone for the year. That's a huge loss for them, especially with their running game. But then you see Jim Harbaugh's successor at Michigan get banned for 3 to 4 games for sign stealing. And then Feinbaum at ESPN basically said that Harbaugh was he was saying that the NFL needs to suspend Jim Harbaugh. Like he was mentioning when Jim Tressel got involved in that stuff at Ohio State several years ago that he was suspended by the NFL. They kind of like honored the NCAA suspension, and he just got suspended for games in the NFL. And he's saying that needs to happen to Jim Harbaugh. I'm like, to be honest, if that was going to happen, that should have happened last year when all this stuff went down. When Michigan won the national, when Michigan won the national title before that. But with Slater going down, the stuff going out now about Michigan again, and the stuff kind of culture he created there. They're bringing back. Is it Keenan Allen? Did Keenan Allen come back? I think he said he visited, and he's coming back.
No, I
But
think he's back.
he's back. But I don't know. I feel like the Jim Harbaugh, while it looked promising at first, there's been a lot of hiccups for the Chargers going forward. Like especially with Slater going down, I think that took the air out of everybody's sails and in
Yeah.
that organization. Losing Slater, that man's an All Pro. Like he's probably one of the best, if not the best, left tackle in the NFL right now. He's young too, like not even that old. So losing him was huge. Let's see, we wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, division winner predictions. Now, this should be an interesting season this year. We'll get to AFC North last. We kind of already know where we're going with that. But we'll start with the NFC first. NFC North. A lot has changed in the NFC North over this past offseason. Sam Darnold has moved on. J.D. McCarthy is now the starting quarterback for the Vikings. Detroit Lions lose Aaron Glenn and use Ben Johnson to head coaching jobs. Jared Goff played one of his worst games in an NFC divisional playoff game. The Packers with Jordan Love coming back, this season, they made some additions. I think what Matthew Golden has been, apparently everybody likes him over there in Green Bay. The Bears overhaul their entire team. Ben Johnson is there taking that job. So he's going to be taking the helm and, kind of coaching Caleb Williams. I know this was originally for the last couple of years, it's been the Lions. I don't think it's even been close. Maybe the Vikings. But with all the coaching shakeup and everything else that happened, and obviously quarterback shakeup in that division, I think this division's up in the air this year. I think it's division. Mind you, I'll say this: the Bears won 7. We're 7-10. We're 7-10 last year. Yeah. It's a possibility. It could, they usually say if your team's supposed to get better, you usually add 3 to 4 wins a season. You add 3 or 4 wins to the Bears this year, that wins the division for them. They're in that, and they got the players. Now the question is for Caleb. The big question mark about is Caleb. That's the big question mark. But then the J.J. McCarthy, what does he do? He's an unknown. He's an enigma. We don't know what he's going to do. Jordan Love, can he stay healthy? He got hurt early on last year. Can he stay healthy? And then Jared Goff. Did Jared Goff turn into a pumpkin and go back, to what he was? And then, of course, again, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, got to learn new schemes, all new culture, all that other stuff. So it's a lot going on. NFC North. Who do you think, as of right now, wins that division?
It's tough. I'm hearing everything you're saying, and I'm agreeing with you. Like, I think the coordinator swaps, like that's the big thing here. The loss of Sam Darnold. I think the Packers can take this division. I think it's up for grabs.
Yeah,
I think the Packers take it. There's more continuity there than any other team. You have a new head coach with Chicago. You lose both coordinators with the Lions. The Vikings have essentially a rookie quarterback that we don't even know if he was any good because some people felt like he was a reach. I'm going with continuity because the Packers actually drafted their number 1 receiver. They had receiver by committee last year.
Yeah,
a lot of young guys that
a lot
were
of
doing
injuries
good
too.
things.
Yeah,
a lot of injuries. But they went and got Matthew Golden, who I think is a sleeper for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So I think if Jordan Love shows up healthy, I think the Packers take this division.
Okay, I like that. I like that pick. I think the Lions hold on, just barely. I think it's a fight definitely to the end for this division, but I think the Lions hold on. The combo of Jahmyr Gibbs and Dave Montgomery in the backfield. Now Aiden Hutchinson is going to be out because I think he broke his leg like late in the season last year. So I think he'll be back, but definitely not till like maybe midway through the season. So they're gonna miss that. How this defense look? The Lions defense had a lot of injuries at the end of the year. They got to stay healthy. I don't know what it is. They got to find a way to stay healthy because they were getting safeties or whatever off of like the Walmart bagging stand. Like they were getting guys from the grocery store, from Sam's Club. Like they were finding anybody that had any football experience to play defensive back for the Lions at the end of that year. So credit to Aaron Glenn for even keeping that together for as long as he did. But so that's going to be the challenge going into this year. But I think that Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's been so consistent year on year, year in and year out. The tight end play from them, the Laporta, like I think that offense is really good. Now, again, we could be, like I said, if Jordan Love takes that next step and that receiving core for him can stay healthy with all three of them, that's going to be dangerous. And you still have Brandon Jacobs in the backfield. And he had a good year last year. So it should be fun. It should be a fun division to watch for sure. Those NFC North games will be really fun to watch. Let's do NFC South. We'll do NFC South. Trash division. Still trash. Falcons, Saints, Buccaneers. What am I missing? Falcons, Saints, Buccaneers, Panthers. Now, the Panthers are a sleeper, in my opinion, because of how well they played towards the end of the season. Bryce Young actually started to look better towards the end of the year. Like they looked like they were clicking. They were like, okay, these games they're getting better here. Now that the Falcons on their side move on, they're finally decided we're going with Michael Penix. You know, I don't know what's going to happen with Kyle Pitts. Do we still believe in Pitts? Do we still believe in him? They still got one of the top running backs of Bijan Robinson. I think he was like the number 4 running back last year with total yards. So he's definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with. The Buccaneers, again, while not world beaters, are the most consistent team. You still got Mike Evans, you still got Baker Mayfield. That team, of anything, I feel like that team is the most cohesive for the most part. Like they know their identity, they know who they are. And Baker, doesn't try to play outside of himself, and neither does Mike. They kind of do what they do. Now the Saints, I think the Saints are out of this discussion. They drafted that quarterback, Tyler Schnow, whatever his name is.
Yeah. That quarterback.
I don't even know. Like all the mock drafts that I saw, I don't know you saw, that man was never mentioned in the first round ever among quarterbacks in the first round taken. I don't know if he was mentioned on day 2, to be honest with you. I'm like, I don't know where they dug this guy up from in college. So I'm like, I'm not even counting the Saints in on this. So this is really a 3-team race. The Panthers, I will say, I don't think they're there yet. I think, like you said about the Browns, they're going to be competitively bad. Like they're going to be in games and be a lot of one-score games that they lose. But I think we'll still see that progression. We saw the end of the year last year of them getting a little bit better. Bryce Young was a good quarterback in college. He was a good quarterback in college. And he's gone through some turmoil with the offensive coordinators and the head coaches in the last couple of years. But it does look like maybe they've finally found a mesh point there. And then with the Falcons, with Michael Penix and that whole getting out of the Kirk Cousins phase, and I don't know why they went through that phase to begin with, to be honest with you. But I think I'll say I'm going to go with the Falcons. I'm going to go with the Falcons.
Really?
To win this division. I'm going to go with the Falcons to win this division.
Okay.
I just think Penix does take another level now that he's the starter. Like he doesn't have to worry about playing backup. He's the guy. You got Bijan Robinson. They have, a pretty good receiving core there, decent defense, and it's Atlanta. You got a black quarterback in Atlanta. Haven't had him one in a while. I always felt like that Kirk Cousins fit in Atlanta just did not fit. No, it just did not fit. Penix, though, does fit, I think, Atlanta. And it just I think it's going to be a little bit more dynamic this year with Penix being like knowing he's the guy now and build that offense around him. So I think I think Tampa Bay is still obviously involved in that, but I just think that they've been getting by in that division because of how bad everybody else has been. So I think if there's another contender to go against, I think that the Buccaneers those couple games may set them back a little bit.
Yeah. You know how every year I come with that crazy take? I think this division is up for grabs for 3 out of the 4 teams. The team that's not up for grabs for is the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think the Panthers would be the surprise team in the NFL this year. I think they have a lot of young talent that can put it together this year in a weak division. That's what I'm thinking, because the Falcons aren't really strong. We don't really know much about Michael Penix. The Buccaneers, they've looked good, but we've seen that defense be a leaking disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And Baker is going to Baker. He's going to throw interceptions. He's going to throw touchdowns.
He's a gambler.
But Bryce Young, at the end of last year, looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, like a top 12. That gave me a lot of hope. If they can continue that and the guys they brought in and what they're building there, I feel like they could be that, because there's always that team that puts it together for a nice run.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Panthers could do that and win this division.
Yeah.
The division can be had.
It'd be nice to see.
The story of the year.
NFC West. So we have the Rams, the Cardinals, the 49ers, Seahawks. This is the division of mids. Literally everybody's mid in this division. No one's terrible, but no one's really good either. I would say the Rams would be good, but Matthew Stafford has a bad back. Yeah. I don't think he's taken a snap all preseason.
Yeah.
That man has missed most of training camp because he's got a bad back. I don't know how long he's going to be able to play this year. And you got Puka Nacua in there as well. You still got what's his name, the running back. Is it Travion? Travion Henderson? Am I wrong?
No, Travion is in New England.
New England, okay.
For the Rams, are you talking about the Michigan running back that came out last year, Blake Corum?
No.
Or not Kyron Williams.
Kyron
right?
Williams. Kyron Williams. That's what I'm thinking. The guy Kyron Williams, who was, I had him in fantasy last year. That man was killing it.
Yeah.
Killing it last year. They have a solid team. Jared Verse, I think, was defense rookie of the year last year. So they have a good team. However, when we talk about the Ravens and their backup quarterback situation, if they don't have Matthew Stafford, they don't got nothing. I'm sorry. Matthew Stafford makes that offense, man, with his ability to throw the ball downfield to get to Puka Nacua and the rest of those guys. Like, and Tutu Atwell, I'm just like, bad back, quarterback with a bad back. Like, that's just, he's literally one sack away from his season being over. That's it. Like, I don't care how much. It's one of those injuries I think you have that because he hasn't played all preseason or practiced all preseason. It's one of those injuries where no amount of rest without surgery at this point is going to fix this for him at all. So that's it for the Rams. Cardinals, Kyler Murray. There's no Call of Duty coming out this year, so he might be okay. He might be all right. Marvin Harrison Jr.'s got to take a next step up. There wasn't really a lot of like splash moves that they made really to kind of make the team that much better this year. So I'm like, I don't, unless, Kyler Murray takes it to the next level or whatever, or grows like 5 inches, I don't know really, what else the Cardinals can do from that much part. The Seahawks obviously have our guy and Mike McDonald now, second year head coach there. again, it's just a bunch of mid teams. Like this one's going to be like, I feel this is kind of going to be what and then with the 49ers and Brock Purdy, you got Christian McCaffrey, who's got bad Achilles, 2 bad Achilles tendons. Brandon Ayuk's coming off an injury himself. I don't know how much they pay Purdy all that money. I don't think he's going to be that good this year. I don't. You lose Deebo Samuel. I'm like, this is going. I feel like this division is going to be like what the NFC South was the last couple of years. Who just doesn't lose the most? Like, I don't think the team is going to be the best. So it's just going to be a team that just finds a way, like, this kind of sneaks in. They're all mid. They all got their massive issues. Nobody stands out to me. Like I said, if Matthew Stafford is healthy, this is the Rams' division to lose.
Yeah.
If Matthew Stafford is 100%, if he's healthy, he doesn't have a bad back, but that back issue, that makes this all wide open for me.
Yeah, definitely does. I honestly think this is going to be the Cardinals' division. I think Kyler Murray. I think with the health of Matthew Stafford, like you talked about, being a question mark, I think Kyler Murray is going to have a good season. I think Marvin Harrison is going to take a step. I think offensively they could be a juggernaut out there, which I think could be enough to take them to win this division. I have no faith in Brock Purdy and the 49ers. I've seen way too many games last year where Brock Purdy looked like a practice squad quarterback. I'm not sold on Sam Darnold carrying that Seahawks team. I don't think they have enough weapons currently. I think they lost a lot. So I don't have faith in them. I think the Cardinals are the best thing coming out of the West.
Okay.
I think they are.
Okay. So NFC East, Eagles, Cowboys, Commanders, Giants.
Be for real.
This is the Eagles division to lose. Like, I mean, it's not even close. Like the Commanders, while made a splash last year, I think they definitely Jaden hits a sophomore slump. Especially with the Terry McLaurin stuff. He just hit practice. Got off the PUP list this week, just to get started with practice, and they haven't resolved his contract situation. But it sounds like I don't think he's going to miss any games. He's going to play. But they don't. I think the Commanders call a lot of. They're a good team, but they caught a lot of teams off guard last year. They caught a lot of teams off guard last year. I just don't think they're going to catch them that much this year. And relying on, while Terry is good, relying on guys like Noah Brown and the running game that they got right now with I think Austin Eckler is still there and Brian Robinson Jr. and stuff, like it's not for this. I just don't think that. I think this year they take a little bit of a step back. The Cowboys, add CD Lamb, you get George Pickens. Michael Parsons has got a contract issue, but it doesn't look like he's going to miss any time either. He's going to probably play. But the hiring of Brian Schottenheimer as a head coach, this doesn't really give me any kind of like that this team is ready to win playoff football. Like, and I think this Micah stuff carries on into the season. Micah has a podcast, and he hasn't been afraid to talk. And I think if they start off slow and early in the season, it does feel like Micah is going to probably use that as his, his platform to speak what's going on. What's and then of course you got George Pickens, man. Like George Pickens is a crasher. I still know how he's going to react with how he's going to interact with Dak Prescott. I still know how to when things blow up, And then you got a coach like Brian Schottenheimer. I don't know if he knows how to even like how to handle a George Pickens when he crashes out. Because he's going to have crash out moments during the season. So I'm like, the Cowboys just aren't there. And with the Giants, they got Jackson Dart. He looks decent in preseason. They did show that play. Abdul Carter got like pancaked. He got thrown on the ground or whatever. He's going to be decent this year, but he's going to have, as the guys said on the shows and stuff, like, look, that's part of football, man. You're going to lose. You're not going to win every matchup. You're going to lose some. You're going to get put on your butt. It's what happens. It's he's going to be decent. But again, the Giants are the Giants, man. They don't really have any offensive weapons, outside of, was it Neighbors? to really worry about there. This is the Eagles division to lose. It's not even close. I will ask, have you started watching that the Cowboys America's Team on Netflix? Have you watched that at all yet?
I got through the first episode.
Okay.
I still got more to watch there. It's cool so far. It's cool. I'm not mad at it at all. I'm trying to see what these rest of these episodes are talking about.
But yeah, this is the Eagles division. So we'll move on to the AFC. AFC East, we got the Bills, we got the Dolphins, we've got the Patriots, we got the Jets. It's the Bills division to lose.
You think so?
Patriots are a team to watch. They've liked Drake May.
Did I lose you, Miles? Man, I think we lost Miles.
But I mean, so far, the Bill no one's going to challenge the Bill. We could win here and there, maybe one game against the Bills and sneak up on them. Jets are the Jets. Justin Fields is Justin Fields. He's not that good. And who else? The Dolphins are a train wreck. I don't know if Tyreek Hill even stays there through the midway through the season. I wouldn't be surprised if they trade him halfway through the year.
I think I agree with you. I think the thing I want to say is that the Jets are going to be the second best team in this division. I think they're building a culture that's going to allow them to be successful long term, but I just think they just don't have all the talent yet. But I think they'll be good enough to be the second best team in this division. Did I lose you? All right. Miles, we're going to go into the AFC West. Can you hear me? I think we lost Miles. I'll jump into the AFC West. So we got the Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders, and the Chargers. I think this division is a little bit more wide open, just because the Chiefs have taken a step back talent wise. I think it's still theirs to lose, but I think it's more wide open than it's been. You see the Raiders getting a quarterback in Geno Smith, which is something. A competent quarterback is something they've been lacking for 3-4 years. I think the Chargers can still be competitive with Justin Herbert and what they have. I think what's holding them back is that big loss in Slater, their left tackle. Broncos, they're the sleeper team. I think if there's a team that can take that jump to challenge the Chiefs for this division, it's going to be the Broncos. I think you have your young quarterback. You have a lot of young talent across the board, not even just on the offense, but on the defense as well. I think the Broncos, they have a good amount of talent that can allow them to be able to challenge in this division. But I think there are about three teams that have a shot. I think it's the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos. But I think the Raiders have a chance to make it competitive again. So this division is more wide open than it's probably been in years. But I think it's still the Chiefs to lose, just based upon like, you still have Patrick Mahomes, you still have Travis Kelce, you still have Andy Reid, who's probably the true MVP of that team. So I definitely got the Chiefs winning there. Let me see if Miles is on his way back in. I guess I'll keep it running. So next, we'll go AFC South. So we have the Texans, Colts, Jags, and Titans. So This division, it's got to be the Texans to lose. I mean, you got Daniel Jones at quarterback for the Colts, Trevor Lawrence with a super young team for the Jags, and you have a rookie quarterback for the Titans, and Cam Ward with not a lot of talent around him. Um, this should be the Texans division. They're looking to bounce back and be a great team that they were 2 years ago. CJ Stroud is looking for a bounce back season. I think they take a step forward and they're able to go ahead and take this division. There's not a lot of competition in this division, especially when you look at the quarterbacks that they have there. You have a lot of unproven and you have a lot of mediocre. Um, let's see here. Miles. I don't know if Miles is jumping back in. He's having some tech issues. Um, I'll go ahead and just give my take on the AFC North, and Miles can give his when he jumps back in. But you got the Ravens, Bengals, Browns, and Steelers. Y'all know where I'm at with this. This is the Ravens division to lose. This division should not be that competitive. I mean, you look at the Bengals, they're a mess defensively. They're trying to trade their number one defensive player. They had a rookie defensive end, their number one draft pick holding out. They have all the talent in the world on offense, but offense doesn't win championships. And we saw last year they could have that talented offense all season, but they're still going to lose games because they don't have a defense. And I don't think Joe Burrow can single handedly just carry a team with no defense to a division win and to a Super Bowl. And I don't think there's any QB probably that we've seen, with the exception of Tom Brady, that may can do that. And then the Browns. I mean, you have four quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. You think Joe Flacco's really about to win this division? He's 42 years old, turnover machine. They don't have a lot of talent on offense outside of Jared Judy. Um, it's just not there. It's not there. They're still the Browns. The Browns are going to brown, and I don't see them doing much. The Steelers, two words: Aaron Rodgers. That's the reason they're not competitive to win this division. Um, yeah, they got DK Metcalf. They got rid of the head case in George Pickens. They have TJ Watt. They have an angry, upset Cameron Hayward. They got Jalen Ramsey. Got rid of Minka Fitzpatrick. But at the end of the day, they don't have a they don't have a great back. They have an explosive back in Jalen Warren. They don't have a great offensive line. Um, I don't know how you're going to protect Aaron Rodgers. Not in this division. And Aaron Rodgers is a shell of himself. He's not a guy that's going to carry you to a division win. So this is the Ravens division to lose. If we're healthy, pause. If we're healthy, um, this should be our division. Lamar should have got MVP last year. Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry. Um, Keaton Mitchell's back and he's healthy. We got DeAndre Hopkins in there. Mark Andrews is back healthy and with a chip on his shoulder. I think this is our division. Trey, relax. I think this is our division to lose. I mean, I think we've gotten so much better as a team,
I think
and
I'm back.
we have something to play for. I mean, it's Super Bowl or bust, like we said earlier. So I think this is our division to lose. Welcome back, Miles. Man, I kind of like went through all the divisions while you were gone. So feel free to just go ahead and give all your takes. I think when you left, we were on the AFC West.
AFC West. So that's the Raiders, Chiefs,
Hmm.
Broncos, Chargers. And we only talked about the Chargers situation, so I'm not even going to count them out. The Broncos, on the other hand, Bo Nix last year did play pretty well, especially towards the end of the season. I went to that Ravens game where he did catch a pass on Marcus Williams. He did go out for a pass and caught one on Marcus Williams, which just kind of ended his tenure there. But again, the Chiefs have made some moves here and there. We saw they traded Sky Moore today. He's gone. He's not a wide receiver with the Chiefs anymore. Then there's also, what does Xavier Worthy do? Is he going to be a factor for this offense in this year? You know, the running back situation there, does that work out for them? The Chiefs, I don't know. The Chiefs haven't been as dominant in a regular season as they have been in previous years. They had said Travis Kelce looks a lot faster this year, or whatever. I don't know how long that's going to hold out. But because I think the Broncos aren't there yet, the Chargers with losing Slater at left tackle and the issues going on with Harbaugh outside of the NFL, and then the Raiders just being the Raiders. This is again the Chiefs division to lose.
Yeah, I said something similar. I think it's more wide open than it's been in years, but I also share the same sentiment with the Chiefs.
So we on the NFC, AFC. We did the East, we did the West, so the South. So it's the Colts, the Jags, the Titans. Who else in the AFC South? Colts, Jags, Titans,
Jags, Titans, Colts, and Texans.
Texans. This is the Texas division to lose. Everybody else is
Yeah.
trash.
Yeah.
Daniel
The same
Jones is
thing I
not.
said.
I don't think Daniel Jones is going to move the needle with Indianapolis with the AR situation there. I feel like if he stays there, that could boil over and become an issue in the locker room and things like that. The Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence is mid. Now I don't know what else to say. Like he literally got drafted off to that one when he went in the championship that one year beating Alabama when he was at Clemson. He's been living off that ever since. He's mid. The Jaguars themselves, the team, are mid. They're just not there. The Titans, Cam Ward even said he was like, man, we're not good right now. He's like, there's several players away. I don't even know what Cam Ward's going to be. I saw him at Miami. He was decent, but again, this was a draft class This was a draft class that was like, if you didn't get your quarterback in this draft, it wasn't really like you missed anything. Like there were teams that needed a quarterback, but it wasn't like you were going to find your guy in this draft. And then the Texans, do they bounce back? We saw, with Tank Dell and the other, I can't remember the other receiver's name right now.
Someone Nico Collins.
Nico Collins, yeah. Both got injured last year, bad injuries. CJ Stroud had a sophomore slump, but I like D'Amico Ryans as a head coach. I feel like CJ Stroud did show us something that rookie year. It's normal for these quarterbacks to have that slump in their second year. And of course, losing your two best receiving options in the middle of the season does not help at all. But I think this team is still in a division that they're in, or it's their division to lose. I'm not saying they're better than the Chiefs or the Bills or Chiefs Ravens level, but I think they're in that second level right there. They're a playoff team because they can be really good in the division, but they're not good enough to beat the more elite squads in the division. Yeah. So I think it's the Texas division all the way.
Dope. Yeah, same here.
Now, of course, the AFC North. Ravens, Bengals, Steelers, Browns. We talked about the Browns ad nauseum earlier. Steelers with Aaron Rodgers.
Same.
I don't know what it is, but I think this is the last year that teams starting 40-plus-year-old quarterbacks, a starting quarterback. I think this is it. We saw this after Tom Brady when he won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers, and everyone's like, yeah, we can start a 40-year-old quarterback at quarter. It'll be fine. I think this is the year that ends. And teams like, nah, we got to go backwards now and start drafting our guys or get guys that are at least in their mid-20s, early 20s, whatever, to build our teams around. I just don't think I know adding DK Metcalf was a big move for them, but with Cam Hayward wanting a new deal, TJ Watt, getting up there in age and not being, we saw the last couple of years not being that kind of factor for them late in the season. He's been dominant earlier in the season, but we've seen the last couple of years late in the season, he's been kind of like missing. He's getting older. He's had some injuries, significant injuries. He's getting older. I don't really trust anybody outside of DK Metcalf on that offense. And then defensively, you lose Minka Fitzpatrick. He's out of there now. You get Jalen Ramsey, but to be honest, I don't think Jalen Ramsey's been that guy since probably the Rams. He's tried it elsewhere. He's on the downturn as well, and I just think Aaron, because of how he is, and he doesn't. It feels like to me, Aaron doesn't have. He's not ingratiated in the Pittsburgh culture there. That's one of those teams I think that's really big on culture and really big on being a part of the city, being a part of like what it means to be a Steeler. And I just feel like he's there to collect the check. He's still going to do his shows on Tuesdays with Pat McAfee, and he's still going to be a distraction for the team. When the Steelers don't ever like to be in the media, they don't like to be front and center like that. Like they're not like the Cowboys, and I feel like that's going to become an issue with Mike Tomlin. And then when Aaron Rodgers may be airing out some grievances and stuff, or doing some little shot, taking little shots at players and stuff, subtly on his shows with Pat McAfee, I feel like that becomes an issue. And again, I think he's just more concerned about keeping himself relevant for his show. It's not necessarily about football, like playing football. It's keeping himself relevant for his show. And then with the Bengals, we've seen the memes out. They're going to have, put up 99 points but lose 199. Like their defense looks bad. Their defense is going to be real bad. Trey Henderson wants out. That's not looking good. Their offense, fantasy-wise, is going to be T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. They're going to put up numbers. But another thing to watch out about Joe Burrow is that nagging elbow hand injury that he had even last year. Don't be surprised if that creeps up again. With Joe Burrow. If he's going to be throwing the ball a lot this season. So that injury could creep up his way again. So this is the Ravens. I know the Bengals always play the Ravens tough. The Browns always play the Ravens tough. It's one of the more, regardless of the record, this division plays each other probably the most competitively, no matter what season it is or who's the top team or whatever. But I think this is still the Ravens division to lose. Not even close.
Yeah, I said the same thing, same reasons. Since Trey's on here, I'm gonna give him another crazy comment. So I was watching WNBA All-Star Game, and I feel like the Bengals remind me of what they said on there. It's like a girl's trip to Cancun. There's no D. So that's my take on the Bengals. But I said the same thing, Miles. Ravens division to lose shouldn't be close.
Yeah. So the Ravens they got their third preseason game this weekend against the Commanders. Lamar's clearly not playing. I don't think any of the starters are playing. I know they had hinted that they were expecting some of the starters to play, but I don't think that's going to happen at all at this point now. For the scare of Lamar, everybody's been wrapped in bubble wrap at this point. And they will be unsealed week 1 against the Buffalo Bills. So we'll get a show in, next week and kind of like, preview week 1. Get that situated once we, once the rosters are finalized, maybe they'll address the backup quarterback situation. We'll see if that gets addressed. Hopefully, fingers crossed. There are no more injuries, for Lamar. Lamar doesn't need to see the field anymore until week 1 at this point. So yeah, that's it. Anything else you want to add before we end this one?
No. Hey, Ravens division to lose. This is going to be a good season. We got to gear up because I know we're about to be stressed out every single week of this season. So everybody get on the roller coaster ride with us and continue to tune in to Live from the Hammock, where Miles is the dopest host out there. Number 1 Ravens podcast. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I don't like being stressed out week 1 and like this early in the season. We're gonna be stressed and we're gonna be going through it the first 3 weeks. We're gonna be through it. But that's why I'm glad football's here. I've been waiting for it to get back. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. So we'll catch you guys next week, and we'll get ready for this, the rest of the season. Catch y'all guys later. Peace.